All right, there you go, guys. Thank you. Sorry about that. It's gremlins invading the system, shutting down all my presets. So listen, bottom line is Bitcoin is stuck in this range. We don't. You need to see a couple of bullish weeks before we even expect anything. The question was, do we see Bitcoin 110? And I say, I don't even think you see 100. Not until you're above 95. Yeah, I'm trying, guys. I don't know. I'm just getting back, so this is really like my first week being back. But I don't know why the presets they shouldn't be screwed up. I don't know what's happening. I mean, between my internet, I've been running the two. I told you guys the two internet providers, and I'm still don't know what to do. Is it Comcast? I'd love to dump them, but and I'm running Starlink. I'm going to run it for another month, but Starlink has been slow at times, but then Comcast absolutely just collapses. Either way, guys, are we buying Bitcoin? Not yet. I'm not buying Bitcoin. I'm actually out of most of the Bitcoin that I was in because I'm looking at this as the year of a bear cycle. Now, weekly is trying to turn up, but again, not until we break above the 50. And I think I'm done in general with this because we have too many other hot markets, things that are don't require Ponzi style investing. I don't need like if I'm going to go with Nvidia or Broadcom or Taiwan Semi or looking at silver with the shortage craze that they have currently, knowing that there's real demand there versus something like Ethereum. And because Ethereum is going to be something in 5 or 10 years, yet we look at the long term kind of history here. I mean, hey, not bad in the last 5 years, but in the last 3 or 4, we're basically where we were in 2021. I mean, this is an okay uptrend, but it's not something that's in full price discovery. And with where we are, like you look at the likes of just Nvidia, and I know people like to cite Broadcom, like to cite Bitcoin as the greatest asset ever. Well, you had to have gotten into it 10 or 15 years ago and held it through multiple 80% corrections. Some people did, but you look at something like Nvidia over the last 5, 10 years, like I said, short lived, even on the weekly or monthly retracements. They retrace for a few bars, several bars, and then they rebound. And Nvidia is another one here. 4.5 trillion. This is going to be a $10 trillion company someday. That puts it 350, 400. I know that sounds crazy, but these are going to be the winners. And even just simple technicals, like you go to any chart, because I know people like to get on stocks that they hear a lot of banter about. It's more about like what asset or what symbol has the most intense kind of online chatter and even in that, like I'd say GameStop is like a perfect example. Like, oh yeah, GameStop, it's being repressed by the SEC, and so someday it's going to have its day. GameStop is not in a multi-year bullish, if not multi-decade uptrend that is not going to stop anytime soon. This is the one kind of fundamental assessment for any asset, guys. Anything you suggest in here, anything I look at relative to harmonic patterns, if we don't have forward momentum at a 45-degree angle or steeper, you got garbage. I mean, you got garbage. And I go to like Dogecoin because that's the easiest. Dogecoin is the easiest to pick on. All right, you get had this end all be all whatever. Okay, but that's not trending. That's not price discovery. That's price recovery, but we could spend 5 more years sideways. And the goal for what I'm doing in these sessions and a lot of the things I've been saying leading up to the next 2 or 3 years are at such a sweet spot where at the end of 2 or 3 years, it's not going to matter. That's what's at stake. If it's Nvidia doubling from here, if it's other things like semiconductors, Broadcom, even things like, and you guys know, I said Caterpillar just a week ago, 10 days ago. Massive last 2 or 3 days. It's up like 5% first 2 days of the year. Okay, and ever since this last dot back in November, and then we had another one just right before Christmas. That was 575. Now you're 625. Bitcoin hasn't moved $1,000 in that process. That you're going to win. That's how we're going to win. Walmart, that's the other one. Again, I'm going to be boring, but here we go. A arrow, dot, continuation within the longer term trend channel. What I'm trying to do is show you guys get away from narrative, get to signals. I mean, if you want to follow something, perfect example, like Nvidia, the narrative, the Blackwell AI chip, and all their future chips they have under development, and all the sales they've already booked. Okay, we all know that's the story. But what's the price? Where is it on the chart? Is it at a retracement? Is it daily oversold? That's how we should be thinking. Walmart, same deal. Monster, king of the retailers, massive uptrend, just continuing within this channel. Okay, and this progress is not changing anytime soon. You want to ride this channel to 150, 170, something like that over the next few years. That's what we're going to do. We're going to avoid the crap. I'm a big believer, okay? Buy junk, not crap. And there's a big difference. Junk is stuff that's kind of thrown away, but still has value. Crap is just crap. And there's a lot of crypto crap. Not saying Bitcoin is crap, but I don't think it's at the right price to where it is an opportunity, a buy opportunity yet. Couple more. Trying to make it up to you guys after stupid, all of this issues. I don't know. I'm going to look at my system. What's up, Echo? Echoes. I don't. I don't want to make anybody rethink anything. That's the other thing about what I do. Okay, I lay the harmonic pattern framework in front of you, explain it in a way. It's not difficult to learn. All right, it's not difficult. Once you know what you're looking at, and I say that to new people as well. We had a whole bunch of new people come to us over Black Friday and Cyber Monday stuff. Okay, and all I tell them is take a week, take 2 weeks, follow along with the patterns we lay out. Okay, describe what you see. Is it a type 1? Is it a type 2 pattern? Does it have confirmation? Are we a retracement within the major trend? Basic concepts. And then your brain starts to put together. I mean, you go back, Bitcoin is the perfect example currently. 4-hour chart. We got patterns galore, Bitcoin. Back to back to back. So describe what you see. What is currently happening? It's a type 1 shark. We've got diamond resistance confirmation. T1 goes to target 1. So my minimum assumption, we're 92K. Talk to me when we get to 89,612. So we're in a reaction phase right now. No matter what you think about Bitcoin over the next 20 years, I'm saying in the next 30 bars, like 7 days, 6, 7 days, right? 6, 7. Back down to target 1. After we looked at the bat pattern, the bullish pattern, at 85 to give us a reaction, or the prior patterns from late November and December that said resistance was 92. Type 1 down to target 1, type 2 down to target 2. And so make that assessment for yourself. We haven't clinched the major breakdown numbers for Bitcoin to get to really trigger the bear cycle. I mean, but if we're going to follow along, this is what you should be watching. You should be watching what Amplified does. Okay, here on the monthly chart for Bitcoin, we pierced the 50 level. This is a big deal. This is, think of this as like harmonic RSI. I mean, harmonic strength index is a little different than the RSI. It's actually quite a bit different the way it's designed. But amplified is just, flat out has like some harmonic modifiers to give us this more of a RSI type of a read. But we're here. We pierced 50. Okay, and I would say we're much like where we were back here, and you go back to February 22. I think what we'll get a little bounce up without much price reaction, and then this is probably going to be the trigger where we see larger acceleration is the next 30, 60 days. We roll over the next 1, 2 monthly bars. We don't break the 50. We actually roll over, and then we begin the ultimate decline down to get oversold again. Okay, early in development, this is going to take time, but most of it is already there. And I still say if this was just a retracement in terms of sheer number of bars, we'd already be a lot higher. We would be, we would have gotten oversold, turned around, and we'd be rallying right back. And that's not happening at all. One or two more. Listen, what do you guys have? I mean, been sitting on gold, silver, copper. Miners, explorers, been pretty good. Gotcha. YYZ. Snipes. Got it. Can I compare SLB versus BKR? Schlumberger versus Baker? Sure. SLB. And we started today talking about energy. And I think there's different levels of play. As I said when I started today, or at least in part one before we got cut off, I think crude goes lower, but I think other areas, other energy plays, refiners, nuclear, uranium, they will continue to get a bid. Schlumberger, they're more of an explorer. Okay, so that's one I would think might have difficulty. And you see this where, unlike a lot of the other ones, the big winners, Diamondback Energy is one of them. What was the other one? Constellation's the other one. Those are two big winners. This, not so much. In fact, where are we relative to the last few years? Not only down, but the last 10 years. So a recovery candidate, okay? And there's patterns down here. But again, guys, this is not one that is trending. And I really, it's not a bad idea. I don't want to shoot down ideas. This is not a bad idea. But thinking about this relative to the last 10 years, we have a long way to go before we could see this thing aggressively get to price discovery. That's been a distinction I've gone out of my way in the last 2 or 3 years of things that are really going to work in a bull market. You get, yes, rising tide lifts all boats, as they say, but what we want are companies, markets that are expanding into new levels of market capitalization. Something, again, I come back to Caterpillar. I'll go back to Baker Hughes in a second, but again, here's Caterpillar. Massive historic market appreciation. Caterpillar, I think, is like, what, 700 billion? No, sorry, not even 300 billion. That's pretty crazy. In an era with a lot of companies going to $1 trillion valuation, I think Caterpillar, 5-10 years, could go to $1 trillion valuation. That's a 3x from current levels. That means stock price would be 1,800. It seems exorbitant, but this is what the larger charts are telling us in terms of expansion. It will take years to realize something like that, but it is undisputed. This is a long-term uptrend. Our job is just to jump on oversold retracement signals, especially patterns. Makes it a hell of a lot easier to really capture winners. The other one you wanted to look at was Baker Hughes, right? Or BKR. Baker Hughes. Correct. Yeah. Okay. Great example. What's the trend last 5 years, last 2 years? It's straight up. So every time we've had weekly oversold. And this is something I know it's kind of new, especially with folks that get the software. Some of my discussions with new folks in the last month have been like, okay, yeah, I see something, but it's already happened. Absolutely. For example, back in April, March, we had that oversold in Baker Hughes. But that's a heck of a lot better possibility because what's the prior reading? Prior reading is another continuation, all right, where we know that's in an uptrend. The next jump on point would be there. Little overbought at the moment, but the same concept, strategic thinking goes. We line these up, we wait for them to come in, and then hit them. So that was Caterpillar on the daily chart 2 or 3 weeks ago. Baker Hughes right now on the weekly. It's like Tesla. It's in a bearish pattern. It has bearish confirmation. I am bullish on this longer term, but at the right price. And that right price is not 48 or 49. It's probably 39 because we have to go through that pattern reaction. But if you like Baker Hughes, you know something about it, you got a hot tip or whatever, get it on the radar and wait for that. Let that thing come to you. They're not all going to work out, but you put together a population of these, and when they do, you understand what you're dealing with. This is a type 1 reaction that's happening currently. We'll come to 39, and then we'll probably be right back to 49. But we have to go through that reaction now. Where was the other one? The other one was that I was just talking about. Yeah, Constellation Energy. I mean, look at this. Tell me about it. Last few years. I mean, this is 2023. That's $80. Now you're 360. Strong uptrend, but we're at the top level for now. Okay, maybe you come back into 320 or back to 300. Where's the daily? But these are the markets I want to take advantage of. Okay, and it's a hell of a lot better than the Doge crypto of the world. A couple more. XLB and Alcoa. So Alcoa is interesting because this is now busted out of the long range that, again, you go back. Here you go. The weekly. You've been stuck at the low end of the range here at $30. You, you were back here 2008. I mean, that's pretty insane. That back in March at $24, even May at $25, that was the same price it was at back in 2007, 2008. So is this real discovery? No, this is still recovery. And pretty much just want to play this up to the next overbought signal. Maybe, we do another little swing move, retest the prior high. But that's about it. It's not a bad idea, again, but the expectation for this to really just take off and go to all-time new highs is it's just not a realistic expectation. If we were at all-time new highs and had made progress, then I'd say, yeah, this is full acceleration. But it's not a bad idea. I mean, this will be a winner, and the obvious retest is I think it's like $90, 886 retest. XLB. That was the other. Well, that was materials. Yeah, some of these. Some of these are, yeah, that one, there you go. I mean, almost all-time new highs, but it is a shark on the weekly. You're retesting the shark, but all right, look, what's the pattern currently? You're generating a type 2. There it is, but there's no confirmation, so still higher. I mean, maybe back retest, there's your confirmation lines like 48, but this has the thing that I've been talking about where weekly oversold reaction, look at your last dot was down there at a target 1. Shark to 50, go back retest. Back in July 22, no, they're oversold with a dot. And then these aren't like tech stocks, but crazy tech stocks, but that's still firm uptrend the last 4 or 5 years. Now you're probably going to break out of that consolidation zone pretty soon. So more of a snail, slow mover type of play. But we're looking for stuff like this. That's on a weekly. You could break it down on a daily. Go to the daily here. If let's say you for some reason you had to have this, you had to buy XLB. Well, I think it passed the smell test of being in an uptrend, and you had some weekly oversold signals behind it. But what's the daily look like? Okay, maybe some resistance at 46. I would just wait for that. Let this do the type 1. All right, and in fact, you have an arrow, a diamond. You're going to get a dot, 2 bearish candles. But pattern alone says I need a reaction back to 44. Yeah. So be aware of that. A couple more. LCX. You mean the crypto? Really? The crypto of LCX or Lycos Energy? Lycos Energy on Toronto Exchange? Because I think maybe there are a bunch of probably these little high flyers on. There's definitely a number of Canadian miners that probably are still hidden gems. I don't know. I think you're referring to the crypto LCX USD. And isn't this Lino looks at that? Lino, you bring this up like once a month. Yeah, guys, and I don't care. 5 to 7 cents and then back to 5 cents. 5 to 7 cents and back to five. And I think this is something that with crypto in general, I speaking from personal experience, I can go through 1 or 2 cycles of this, but after that second cycle where everything goes, you get some basing, you got monster move, explosion, 5x, whatever, and then all the way back down, you've had enough. That's not a market that's growing. That's a market that's actually continuing to distribute and take your money. That the hopes, realistic hope that this is ever going to do anything, all right, if you can't see that, you need to go back and look at a bunch of charts and study what does work and what doesn't. We want trending situations. This is just, manipulated rally, pump and dump, and come on back down. And this is going to be the thing that buries crypto. I absolutely. They won't give up until the other markets just continue to explode for the next couple of years, and then all their crypto that they held on to, like HBAR and the graph and all of these other whatever want to be supposed to be, do nothing relative to the performance. Here's HBAR. It was supposed to be a BlackRock special, and we've got patterns here all at 12 cents. I mean, right here, 11.5 to 13 cents HBAR. A couple nice patterns, and maybe that even goes back to 20 cents, but then it'll come right back down. Like, I don't think, based on the chart, these are just another bad month away from absolutely going all the way back down like they did before. H bar is a full 886. There. point 0.9, 0.886 is like almost there. That's what's going to be the end of the story for crypto for this year. It's going to pan out to where it doesn't do much, and then people are sitting there watching semiconductors and silver and banks and other clear sectors absolutely rock and roll. There you go. What's up, Carthago? Yeah, the life changing crypto did not change lives in 2025 and flared out by October. What's going on, Victoria? How are you? Happy New Year. Agree. 100,000%. And you guys know I was a sourpuss big time back in early October because I knew the breakdown and the violation of structure and the whole scenario was extremely disappointing. And I'm just going to stay on that and follow through with that until I see some kind of massive oversold condition on weekly or even monthly. Here is Coinbase, guys, on a daily chart. I think it's kind of a barometer of what's supposed to happen. Normally, I would say check out this Gartley, massive. Should be continuation. We had a dot yesterday. Okay, and I'm watching it. Okay, we got above the 50 yesterday, but it has to do something now. If this thing rolls right back down and rolls over, it's a dud. It already has some of the qualities of being a dud, although you have another shot of confirmation here. But how many days are we into this? Because you go back here, that was the 19th. And so we're day 30 from the initial completion. Watch Coinbase. Coinbase is probably the crypto stock more than strategy, more than the other ones where if this thing continues to be a dud and drags lower into the rest of the month, crypto is going to confirm the situation. And I'm still of the opinion, you go to the weekly, what's the story on Coinbase? It is still a type 2. Software kicked it out with a dot, 416 hop. Type 2, target 2, 150. That's the deal. Couple more. What's up, Rick? Rick brings up an interesting one which no one has talked about. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. These things were probably some of the biggest winners since the election. All right, because of the changes. Now, I'll give you a little perspective. Financial crisis decimated both of these, and then the government kind of kept it going without doing much with it. Long story, interesting story, but they're trying to recover here. Fannie Mae, I don't trust the vehicle. It's a quasi-government private agency that, I mean, these were really interesting. There's Freddie Mac. Is that Freddie? No, that's Friendly Energy. Where's Freddie Mac? Hold on. Where's Freddie Mac? Freddie Mac is different. Yeah, it's OTC now. Yeah, that's not even a good chart. Go Fannie Mae. I mean, I again, another idea. Even if something magic happens and these come back to life, I would still be waiting on a daily oversold. I mean, you have a few down here, which is like $10, but it would have to hold 10. And whatever is going to happen with this, if this is going to be something that will go and recover, it has to happen really soon. Like there's a lot of inherent risk there. It's a recovery play. We want trending price discovery, guys. I want stuff like Amazon. Okay, I know it's going to be more. I'm the 241. I'm not going to get my 214. What a bitch. I was looking for 214. No, 241. I mean, this is going to be back at 250 before you know it. And like Tesla, like Google, like all of these, this is price discovery. And this is the outlook like next 3-5 years. We go 1618, which is retesting that 255, 260 area. And then eventually we do a 3618 max expansion. What needs to happen? You guys just need to look at how a lot of these have unfolded in years past and follow this along. We did it with gold, we did it with silver. We'll do it with these big because this is the year they break above their 1618. Rocket Lab. Yeah, let's go one or two more. Rocket Lab did have something right before the holidays. Oof, 84. Remember that bat at 42? That's what I was talking about. Straight to 84. That's okay. There's a great example. And I think Rocket Lab is like a lot of these high flyers that had a retracement, a big retracement, but they had a retracement bullish pattern within the long-term uptrend. Quantum stocks are probably atop that list. But look, multiple dots daily within the uptrend, and then you get the continuation. That's the kind of opportunity where, look, if you have a pattern like that with confirmation and you have a nice, steady 1-2 year uptrend behind it, these kind of moves are possible. Rocket Lab, ASTS, although that didn't have a pattern, it was this at around 56. But this is what I'm getting at. What was he? There was another one. Was it? I think this is Richmond for good old Richmond. What's up? What's going on with our GSAT? Global Star. Okay, this has been one. This is a recovery one, and I'll get to the longer term in a second. But clearly, what's going on here? Beautiful bat pattern at 17, 18 bucks. It's a blow off straight through, failed the crab, but actually this high level, I know it sounds crazy, but this high level dot is going to confirm the failure on the crab, and literally almost perfectly checked back against that open. That's like 61, 62 is your immediate support. And this will be interesting. So, and then go back to the weekly. It's like this. Big pattern, trying to go back and retest, this upper end range. And now if this thing blows off, I mean, this is, again, still recovery, but look at the monthly. Monthly just took off. But pushing higher for now, it's still recovery. It's not trending in terms of price discovery, but I'd be watching that because all of these like this are catching a monster bid. Rocket Lab, ASTS, a couple others. Look at ASTS. I mean, that thing was 55. What was that? It was back in December. Right back to 96. Larger perspective, though, guys, these kind of trends, they're working. And ASTS was practically a 50% correction, but was still in an uptrend. That's why your first assessment for any long position or any bullish pattern or oversold bullish dot weekly or daily should be able to be retesting an uptrend like that, because this is the kind of continuation move that's possible. If we're not doing that, then we can't expect much. Maybe recovery stuff. Yeah, SMR. We looked at that. We looked at SMR. We looked at NNE, and those are two that have done that. SMR's got this real nice deep crab, and it's a 1618 right off of that last leg. So it's, I wish we had confirmation maybe a little to the right there, but that's definitely a candidate. And that one, and Bloom Energy, and what's the other one? NNE. Bunch of these. This Sky T, is that the other one? Yeah, this is just Skywater Technology. I saw that a few days ago. It's had a monster week. But these are the ones that are working. I mean, it's not, when we go through a list like that and we see things that really pop off, And I think this one is a classic example. All right, we pop off. Wow, what is this? And I never saw that before. You go from 10 to 20, and then you'd be like, all right, it's probably gone too far. There's not going to be an opportunity. Only to have like 30 days later have another retrace, get oversold, and this is the type of continuation, especially with just a dot, waiting for the dot and going and look for a dot to then give you like a 1618 advance. You know, dot XA 1618. So down here, when we have these continuations, I'm looking for that next 1618 swing. Down here at 1415, I'm thinking, hey, maybe 30 is possible if it's really going to be a big continuation move. That's how they've been unfolding. Look at SLV. SLV, silver's up $4. Incredible. SLV's up 4. SMR, NNE, all of those. Uh, ooh. I think we really kind of killed it. Big names that just want to continue to pound on. Taiwan Semi, you guys know all last year that was a big one for us. And it's up against the top range. I'm not saying this is a long opportunity, but I'm saying what preceded this about 3, 4 weeks ago, that and that, they were. And you see the kind of continuation that can happen. I'm going to be doing that more and more, featuring markets like this that have clear signals, clear confirmation against a defined uptrend. What are my thoughts on Bitcoin? We already covered it. Yeah, I mean, 95 to 100K, no. I think 95. I think we're stuck in that 85 to 95 range, guys. And that's it. Bitcoin would have to put in a couple of bullish candles on a weekly chart at a minimum for me to even think we would see above 100 or 105. But that's not where we are ever since that structural breakdown from October until now. Yeah, Carthago's right. Look, the miners are going to be catching up. Platinum, palladium, silver. Okay, these are like fourth inning, fifth inning. We're going to see those to continue, and then there's other plays, other things. Again, let's take a peek at Nasdaq, guys. Right? Hey, really quick. Next Wednesday, we're gonna do that. Oh, we got to 801. Check that out. NQ's up 223 now. We hit that 801. Nice. There you go. 5-minute chart. The last couple of signals. There's the diamond this morning. That again, arrow. We didn't have the dot. Why didn't we have? Because we didn't have a check back. Almost perfect. But arrow, diamond, dot. Arrow, diamond, dot. So maybe that's it for today up here. And just kind of featuring those as important inflections just on their own. Like, where are the levels of being overbought, going too far, too fast, intraday, and where are the patterns? I mean, the 30-second time frame, I think right now is that shark. There you go. Back-to-back shark. I mean, that should be about it here. 802 for the day. We rallied since we started the session. But number of back-to-back patterns here all day. We're still up, guys. Look, Nasdaq, we're in the first week of the year. Okay, the first full week. It really started yesterday. Go to the hourly chart. Hourly right now and 4-hour like this for Nasdaq. Finish that type 1 very end of the year. Okay, Friday, put in the dot. Had the full decline last week of the year. Then Friday, we put in a dot. So that's the type 1. And for now, into the first week of the year, looking for this full return. We're back above terminal bar 794, but that could take us as high as hop level at 26K. Okay, let's see if we get a dot here. Gap fill. I think these are all minimum objectives, and that's like 850, 860-ish. But that the hourly chart in the beginning of the month is really dictating what we can expect. Let's look for that to hit this week. Form some kind of a confirmation up in here. 830, 850 minimum. I don't think 25.8 is any big deal. More like 26 would be a big deal. If we could get there by Thursday or Friday, yeah, I'd be impressed. And that's only 200 higher. You could have one strong 200-point day. But we're really waiting for the trigger. Okay, what's the breakout trigger and from where? The 4-hour chart really getting into this kind of flag pennant, squeezing it, bunch of higher highs, static highs, higher lows. That's usually bullish. And I'm just for the immediate kind of outlook, how do we trace this out going forward for Nasdaq and Dow's at all-time new highs, S&P 500. Well, XABCD. XAB's at 83.3, so that's pretty much deep crab territory, and just throw up the next 1618. We're in a bullish trend. Market's in price discovery for the most part. Been consolidating since go back to November, December. That's fine. But we're still treating the longer term like this. Retrace, consolidate, 1618. Retrace, consolidate, 1618. And you can go back, look at just the last few minor corrective moves. 4-hour chart. Okay, retrace, consolidate, 1618. Got it? Like there. There. Consolidate, retest, and repeat. That's why we want the trending stocks. That's why we want to have, retracements and be buying on retracements on trends that have already well-established progress behind them. And unfortunately, that's not crypto, guys. I don't want to be here at the end of the year saying, oh, okay, we spent too much time looking at crypto, because that's how I feel about 2025. I feel like I really feel by like August, crypto was giving us this vibe that it didn't want to go. And the other ones, like the possibility of MicroStrategy and Coinbase going a lot lower, that's real. Here's MicroStrategy. And still lower. Guys, I think strategy, you go to the daily or weekly, is en route to do something like this, which is like an all-time massive BAT 886 retrace. 886 on that. It's 70, 65, 70 bucks. Currently 155. I don't have anything here. So that would be I guess like the big reveal that we'll see that this year, and probably even bigger is Coinbase to get down to like 150. But there are too many markets that are trending in the right direction that I would take advantage of. And again, this specific ideas, things you guys should check out. UEC, uranium energy. You've got a high level continuation. This is perfect. And the way I would look at that is, yes, it's aggressive. You are chasing it a little bit, but the assumption is it's been triggered. Tomorrow, the next 2 or 3 days, we should see this continue where we go from 14, we find ourselves back 16, 17 with the possibility to go a lot higher. And we can do that on a whole bunch. The other one that is really surging is Micron. And there's this whole thing going on with DRAM prices. Pretty much there's a shortage and the prices are going up hundreds of % year over year. If you wanted to buy a computer, you better do it now because apparently in 6 months or more, there's going to be a real shortage for personal laptops, personal computers, the whole thing. Micron, I got to bring this up too. Back in March, guys, was 65. Now it's 336. Now, I'm not saying chase it at this price, but this is another one you get on the radar. The last oversold trigger was an HSI reading 6 weeks ago at 211. Perfect example of a kind of stock where I'm not saying buy it, retrace it, but if we get something like this, maybe we can get a retracement and get an oversold reading. You jump on it because this will continue. I'll do more. That's Reddit. Hey, what's up, Floyd? Yeah, you guys should get the 401ks going. You guys should get the Roth. If you haven't set up a 401k or even done anything, I would suggest a Roth, and I would get these companies in there because these are the ones that are going to run. Reddit, I did see that. And Reddit's another one where, yeah, I mean, look, Reddit had a massive correction, but look at what it did. I do like Reddit, by the way, and this last oversold all around 200 bucks is has not only held nicely with the continuation, but if we can crack, we're going to go to 886 on this move, which is like 265, 270. But I would also look at this as something that wants to go and do another continuation move, like, go here to here, nice retrace. Can we go 127 or 1618? I think that's not out of the question. One or two more specific plays. I did talk about quantum last time, and you guys know I like D-Wave, qubits. Just another one. Bullish shark down here. Okay, had confirmation. It was 20, now 30. But this is like the rest of them on a really nice uptrend. The new one is Qualcomm. Okay, this had a massive blast back in October, retraced. Now it's getting ready to go again. I would look at that on like a 4 hour. There you go. Watch this on a 4 hour time frame as this continues to make higher highs. And then even you go on the monthly, because this is a crazy monthly chart, but it shows you how far this thing has come. Okay, tell me about that monthly chart. Pretty remarkable. Monthly continuation back in April. Qualcomm. It's been quietly kind of making new highs in the last 2 or 3 years. Had that nice retrace, but I look at that as the same way as the last one. Here, go back, run to new highs. Here, go back, run to new highs. And longer term, it maintains progress. That's what we want. Don't want things to come back. Okay, one or two more, and I'm out of here. We had problems today. Thursday, we'll have our act together. Let's do an HPC 30. If anybody, hey, if you want the trial for 30 days, HPC 30, and that's it. Send me a note on Discord. Okay? Just send me a note on Discord. Keep it really loose today. And I'll put that link. There's Netflix. Okay, question is what's going on with Netflix? Netflix is like this. Hey, Dean, send me a note on Discord. You win. And I'll give you the coupon code if you want to buy it. But you have to be a winner. There you go. Hit me up on Discord there. Netflix is at the low end of this long-term channel. Is this oversold? No, there's nothing there yet. Okay, go to the weekly. It's still trending lower. Weekly, nothing really. because we are now in the oversold. So Netflix, go to next week. It still has a bunch of time, but it won't even trigger oversold until next week. And wasn't the daily, I thought there was something here on the daily, pattern wise. Shark? Yeah, kind of a shark, but I think it never had confirmation in the zone. This needs another week or two. It's another good idea, no doubt. This is a good idea. Okay? Netflix oversold. Yeah, those are the kind of in a long-term uptrend, but needs a little more development. It's a bit underneath the channel more so than I'd like, but I'm okay with what's happening. But it's probably, like I said, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks before we would assume that's it. It's really kind of just leaking out of that zone. But I like that. I think the other one we talked about was Spotify. And that does have a weekly dot back here on an uptrend, like around 575. And this had was a shark, a crab. Here you go. So that's a good example of something sitting on the weekly uptrend. It's got a dot, bullish pattern. Not the best. I mean, that's not really how we should be taking off from there. But I'm still looking at that. I think the weekly, are we above the 50 yet? No, we're not above the 50 yet on weekly. We're 3 or 4 weeks into that retest, and that's literally 575. But there's the dot. Well, HSI has to be above the 50 and then amplified. But HSI, absolutely. The whole possibility of an uptrend condition does not even begin until HSI can crack above the 50 after the dot. And then, look, there's amplified. That needs to happen too, but we're not there yet. Close, and I'd be following it. I'd watch that closely. Yeah, you got it. Dean, just hit me up on there over on Discord. You'll be the winner I give for today. We'll do more Thursday. LAR breaking out. LA Rams. Lithium Argentina. Look at that. That's like LAC, right? Amazing. Low floater recovery play, but look at that. LAR. Jeez. Okay, there's perspective. Right? Weekly massive pattern, but the first time you hit XA level was 3 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. And went from 6 to 2. Now you're back there. I think there's better stuff. I think like the Freeport McMoran, or what was the other one we were looking at? Alcoa. Those are probably better opportunities. You might get something where like LAC is another, it's a beautiful pattern. It's just that these type of patterns, they can take forever. I mean, LAC looks like it's ready to maybe do the secondary thrust really soon. Big first thrust, retest the zone. Looks like the ABCD is the actual critical number at 515. But watch it closely. You know, I think that is in a good spot. You can get some real development. Didn't it have a daily? Yeah, a couple of daily dots too. So that's LAC, guys. Second phase really could be beginning soon. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, sorry about the confusion, guys. All right, you got that, Matt. Matt's the last one, and he's got a great one, hymns, because I am looking at hymns right now. And this is the last one. Beautiful Gartley. Okay. We have retested confirmation. Your 35 XA levels 3391. This is another to get on the radar. It's a secondary test, and look, we're clearly on a long-term uptrend. What's the last 2-3 years look like? Nice steady uptrend. Retracement pattern with confirmation retesting now. Is HSI at 50? HSI is above 50, guys. This is where things can begin. Look, that's different than the last one we looked at. HSI well above 50 and amplified. Check that out. Above 50. That's HIMS. I like it. And it is a type 1, meaning first time the pattern completed, we look for target 1. Beyond that, we'll take it as it comes, but that's 47.86. And that's 12, 13 higher. I like it. I do like that. That as like a real opportunity to look at literally the next 24, 48 hours. That should complete the bottom, hold that low, 33.91 and go. You got it. Everybody else, come on back Thursday. I'll have my act together. I'll have information on that deal that we're going to do strategy session next Wednesday, and that's going to be available to anybody that recently bought the software over the holidays, or if you're a new trial or a winner, okay, or if you're just interested, DM me on the Discord. Everyone else, get the trial. You know where to go. I'm not even going to repeat myself, but join us over in the Discord too. Great to be back. Happy 2026 to everybody. Let's really get to it. A lot to happen, but we got to be in the right markets. So more on that on Thursday. On time too. Okay? Catch you guys on Thursday. Until then, as always, go get them. Have a great one.